twice, right? So, I hope my joke's okay. I'm not used to doing this kind of thing. I actually sing, so I'm used to being on stage, but I'm not used to talking to kids. So it's a little bit weird for me. So I do make mic stands. I'm guessing everybody's heard of Carly Pearce. You haven't heard of Carly Pearce, right? No? Pretty good country singer. But anyway, I'm delivering this to Nashville today. Just got it all put together, so I thought it'd be pretty cool to bring up here on stage. Yeah, so going back to, and the other thing is I did not make Korn's mic stand. Everybody always asks me that. So, like I said, I started I grew up here in Central City. I went to high school here. So I feel your pain. No, I loved it here. It was great. Going back to when I was growing up, I played a lot with Legos and stompers with these little electric cars, and I used to just put all that stuff together, and I just it made me want to create things, and I guess that's where a lot of that started. So I went to North, and I worked at McDonald's right here in Greenville. I worked at Town Cinema that used to be down there in Central City, the old theater. And after that, I decided to go to Madisonville Community College. So I wanted to be an electromechanical engineer because I thought that made a lot of money. It sounded like it was important. And so I thought I'd just go do that. My dad was a coal miner. I'm sure a lot of you guys are related to somebody who was a coal miner. My mom was a librarian down here in Central City and in Greenville. I grew up listening to music. I wanted to be a singer when I was 16, and I was absolutely horrible. And I probably still am. So I never really thought there was any chance of me being any kind of a rock singer in any way. So I go to college, Madisonville Community College, after I graduate. And like I said, I wanted to be an electromechanical engineer. So I took all the weed out courses, and that was probably a mistake for me because I do not like school. So I did that for a year, and that wasn't for me. You know, even at McDonald's, I remember scrubbing toilets and, waiting on people, and that was obviously not for me. So I moved to Owensboro, and that was like one of my first changes of direction. I think that's probably one of the things that you guys got to remember is that it's okay to change your direction. So my brother had grown up, and he was 7 years older than me. He'd gone to the same place in Owensboro. He'd done his apprenticeship, which is, it's metal shop. It's working with machines that do metal work. And so he had done that and gone on to Georgetown and was working with the Toyota plant, making killer money. So going through high school at the end of, where you guys are now, I thought, well, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go make some good money. So I go to Owensboro, and when you start there at that place, you scrub toilets and you wax floors and vacuum floors, and you work your way up. And I did an apprenticeship for several years, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to work here in Owensboro and be happy. But the other part of me wanted to be in a band, and so I'm sure if any of you guys are musicians around here, other than country, it's pretty hard to find anybody that does rock and roll. So that's what I wanted to do at the time. Again, we're talking back in '93, So I couldn't be happy in Owensboro, so I decided to move to Louisville. And you can tell I'm from here because I do say Louisville. So I moved to Louisville, and around '97, '98, and I'm trying to find a band, trying to meet people, and I found a machine shop. I'm working there. And it's okay, but I'm not really finding, my soul. I wasn't happy at the machine shop. I wasn't happy with these bands that I was playing with. And so around 2000, I decided to move to Atlanta and just kind of change directions again. It was a lot of baby steps for me. It was like at one point I wanted to go to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, to try to make it as a rock singer, but I was always a little too scared to do something like that. So anyway, I moved to Atlanta, and I joined a heavy band, a band right out of the gates. And we played some cool clubs, and I had a cool machine shop. And then, I guess around 2002, I'm getting close to 30, and I'd always told myself as a singer, nobody wants to see a 30-year-old guy up on stage trying to make original music. So that was just kind of my thing, and so I gave myself to 30. And so around that time, I gave up on original music. And so I decided to join a cover band. And if you don't know the difference, a cover band is you're just playing popular music. You're just playing what people that come to bars want to hear. And so that sounds small, but that was a really big deal because I was giving up on one of my dreams because I wanted to be a rock singer. I wanted to be a rock star. So I kind of shut that dream down, and I just decided to, because I always wanted to have a family. So I got married and had a kid, and I have a good job machining. And so my band is playing out at these little clubs, and I'm sure you've seen these little black mic stands that are just real cheap, that they provide for you. And they're always falling over, and they're always slipping. And so I'm a machinist, so I thought, well, I'm gonna make my own. So at that time, everybody like Steven Tyler and Motley Crue and all the big stars had their own mic stands, even back in the 80s and 70s. But guys like me that were playing these bars, there wasn't anybody doing this. And so I saw a window. I saw an opportunity, and I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I took it. So I made my own mic stand. And then, as luck would have it, the guy I was in a band with was related to a guy that worked with Dream Theater, who is, I'm guessing nobody knows who Dream Theater is either, right? Does anybody know? Okay, a few people. I know Moon does. Moon's on my side. So, anyway, they were touring with Megadeth. Possibly 3 of you know who that is. And so I got backstage and I'm meeting the singer, and I've only made one mic stand at this point, and I'm really a rookie at all of this. And we were talking, and I'm talking to my idol, this guy that I've been listening to his music for 15 years now. And you're already a little bit shy, you're already on edge, and I'm talking to him and I said, man, I want to make you a mic stand. And he was like, at this point, he'd been doing it for 20 years, and he said, I don't really ever use a mic stand. I just carry a mic around. I said, man, it's free. You're one of my idols. Let me do this. And so I made him a mic stand, and after that, like this week, I'm making another mic stand for him. He's going out on tour. They go out on tour every couple of years. And so it's really hit home to me that this idol of mine when I was growing up, when I was your age, I don't know who you guys are into right now, but just imagine somebody that's completely out of reach, that you idolize, that makes you do what you want to do. And then 15 years later, you're in a room with them, talking to them, and then you're making stuff for them. And they value your opinion. That's crazy to me. He will send me artwork for the new album and say, well, what do you think? What should we do? And I can tell you, if I'd been sitting here when I was 17 and you told me something like that was going to happen, there's just no way. I mean, I would have laughed at you for the next 15 years. But you just need to know that these things can happen. I mean, it's crazy, but you have to be willing to move, to pivot, to follow what you need to do, what you're feeling. So anyway, I made that mic stand for him, and I guess years go by, and I don't really do a whole lot with the mic stands, but eventually I start a MySpace page. Does anybody know what MySpace is? So I start a MySpace page, and hold on just a second, let me get a drink. and this guy finds me for Marilyn Manson. Surely you guys know who Marilyn Manson is. Please, okay. So Marilyn Manson guy, it's a roadie for him. It's his monitor guy. He finds me. He says, Manson wants, a blade. I made the blade, and I ended up making that AK-47 that he got in a whole lot of trouble for. So I made his mic stands, and all this stuff started taking off. And then, so he works for Avenged Sevenfold as well. So I started making stands for Avenged Sevenfold. So it's starting to get some steam. And then the recession hits 2010. So, like, bands aren't touring as much. My business shuts down. I'm not just making mic stands, I'm doing other things. And so all of that just grinds to a halt, and I almost give up. I actually go and do a job interview. At this point, I'm running my own business. And I go do a job interview, and I can't do it. It's like I want to work for myself. I want to pursue my dream of just owning your own business is amazing. I'm gonna tell you, if it's a struggle, it's super scary, but if you ever get a chance to run your own business, it will change your outlook on all of your life. It's amazing. So I highly recommend that. So at this point, I'm going broke, times are tough, and there was an app at the time called Thumbtack. And it's something where, like, say you're a carpenter and you don't have work right now. So people will go on that app and say, I need this carpentry work done. And then these people, like me, in the trade will bid on it. And so then that person can pick whoever. So I just took a small job. I made a cart for a guy, which sounds really stupid and simple, but it was an aluminum cart for a guy that works on film sets. And so I did that, and I mean, it seemed like nothing at the time, but now that's grown into like 25% of my income every year, because Atlanta is huge. It's like the new Hollywood. And so I took that, and I took my work ethic, and I took everything that my parents had taught me, and I just started making carts for sound guys. I made the first one way too cheap. And he loved it, and he said, I'm just going to let you know you can charge a lot more for these things. And so that's another thing that you got to figure out. You have to know your worth. If you have a skill that you can do that not a lot of people can do, you need to know that you're worth charging more. And that's something I didn't learn until just recently. So anyway, so I started making carts, and that took off for a long time. And then once the economy came back, and I started doing mic stands again, I got the call, like I said in the interview, and it said Los Angeles. I'm busy working on something, and I have to take the call. And it was Prince's Tech. And please tell me you know who Prince is. All right. And so I took the call, and he said he wants a couple, 2 mic stands, and it turned into 4, and I don't know if you guys, you don't have MTV, so it's kind of weird for me for me to tell you what it meant to like have MTV in the 80s, and you see Prince he's just this idol, he's just an icon. And now he wants something from me, this guy that grew up in Central City, right down there behind the graveyard. And it was just unbelievable. So I did that, and he was notorious for just being super picky. But it ended up he loved my work, and that's something that I will always cherish. So it took off, and I did the interview, and I've done tons of interviews since then. And I guess one big thing is like this last weekend, we were at Louder Than Life. And I'm sure some of you guys have some bands that you love there, like Gojira. Do we have like metal fans here? You have a couple? Yeah. So I don't know if you watched the Olympics, Gojira, playing the Olympics. That was my mic stand. So it's really cool that, I worked at Town Cinema, and now I have stuff at the Olympics. Uh, it blows my mind. And I forget about a lot of these things. I don't know how short I need to keep this, but I guess I'll show a few pictures. Jonas Brothers, is that 10 years ago for a lot of you guys? I don't know. Anyway, I made their mic stands. Surely, Maluma. I had no idea who this guy was. Anybody here know Maluma? Not a single person. I don't feel so bad. Because he ordered a mic stand, and I looked up his Instagram page, and it had like 6 million people. Anyway, so I know we got Morgan Wallen fans. I know we do, right? All right, good deal. Well, so yeah, I made Morgan Wallen's mic stands. Obviously, Prince. It's a trip to see something you made. Like, I don't know if you watched that video of my interview. That was my dungeon at the time. I made that mic stand in that little dungeon. So there's Gojira. I don't know if we got wrestling fans. Fozzy. Avril Lavigne. I just made that mic stand for her tour. It's LEDs. 21 Pilots. A lot of new country girls. Like I said, this is Carly Pierce. I can't believe y'all know. Lauren Elena. I make these knuckles for Five Finger Death Punch. So here's kind of my list. Tate McRae. I know you guys like Tate McRae, right? Somebody here does. You don't want to admit it, right? But okay. Anyway, so I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. A lot of rock bands. Like I took Metal Shop right down this hall. That's where I started. Maren Morris. I'm doing a stand for Warren Ziders right now. So, is that about okay? Should I do some questions? I mean, okay. I guess, so, I'll take any questions if you guys want to know anything about, I guess, one of the main things I was really trying to drive home was I almost gave up several times, and I didn't. And I was always willing to not just have tunnel vision. I thought I was going to do college. It didn't work for me. I thought I was going to do my first job. It did not work for me. And I was always willing to just pivot to follow what I felt I needed to do. So, anybody have any questions about anything? Sure. Mic stands that are hard to make. Yeah, I'm making one right now for Warren Ziders, who was opening for Jelly Roll on tour, and it was incredibly horrible. It's this really cool lightning bolt, and it'll be, my Instagram, by the way, is Metaldozer, so I should get at least a few followers here today. So that'll be up there on Instagram pretty soon. Yeah. How much you made? Excuse me? How much do you make? How much I make? Like this mic stand I just made for Carly Pierce is a little over $4,000. Yeah. That's because it was a rush. Normally it'd be about half that, but yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh no. Do what? I was around 25 when I moved to Atlanta. And I told your dad I was gonna, Josh's dad made these shirts for me, by the way. So, yeah, let's do a picture. I was gonna mess with you like he messed with me, but yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yeah.
What's your favorite mic stand?
My favorite mic stand, probably Dream Theaters. It has this really cool 3D printed robot arm holding a skull. And they called it Floyd, and they took it on tour for a couple of years. It was really cool. The most expensive stand I made, I probably, I just made some for, what was the band? The Tool singer? Maynard Keenan's, his other band. I just made some for them, and it was ridiculous how much he just kept adding on stuff. It ended up being very simple, but that was probably one of the most expensive ones. But possibly this Warren Ziders one. It's a welded lightning bolt, and it's going to be all chrome. And it's going to have a foot release, so you can grab it like this and walk around with it. That one's a little over $6,000. Yeah. What's that? My favorite band is probably, you know, when I was 16, I went to see Queensryche. And at that time, that was the reason I wanted to sing. Dream Theater is one of them. My dream mic stand that I'm trying to make one for is Iron Maiden. Yep. Excuse me? For Rat. You know who Rat is? I make his knuckles. So it was weird because, you know, I grew up in the 80s, I loved Rat, and I used to get this call one day from Stephen Piercy. And he's done a lot of drugs. He didn't really know what he was doing. But, so he sends me, he says, I want to make this new knuckle thing because I'd made some for Marilyn Manson. And he sends me this, he mails it to me. It was a napkin with just these really bad drawings. And it looked super goofy. But I took it and I made it really cool. I mean, he's a nice guy. He's a wonderful guy. And it's been fun doing business with him. But yeah, I made his knuckles. Yeah. Like this really expensive one I just talked about, that probably has 30 hours on it. Something like this, not as much, maybe 10 hours. Not a lot, but I have gotten to the point where I make this stuff really fast now. Yep. Breaking Benjamin. And that was another one that guy just called me. Benjamin actually called me. And he wanted something really weird with an air piston, but I made his mic stand. And that had to have been 15 years ago. He still used the exact same mic stand. Yeah, man. Kid Rock, I made his mic stand. Yeah. Yep. What about Jericho? The List? I don't know about the List. I'll have to ask him. Jericho's a good guy, man. He's really good. I made. I don't have the picture, but I made Fozzie's Eagle Riser, which is the thing that they stand on. It says Fozzie across the front. I made his mic stand. And that's probably been close to 20 years ago. Anybody else? It's a cool little niche. Yep. Def Leppard, I made their mic stand. And it ended up being too light for them, so they just stored it away. So, but they used it. Yep. He had I don't know if you remember the Cupid mic stand. He used it for about maybe 6 months or so, but it was a Cupid figure, and it came up with like a arrow. I made that for him. Back here? The longest one to make? Probably anything like the 3D printed. That stuff takes forever. Yep. Broke halfway through. Well, that 3D printed one, and you get like 4 or 5 days into a print, and it froze on me, and I had to start all over. That was miserable. And it's not like rock stars plan ahead either, just so you know. That's the reason you can charge a lot, because it'll be like 3 weeks before the tour, and they go, oh, I need a mic stand. Yep. Kevin Hart, everybody always says that probably you saved on aluminum for that one, yeah. I I made his mic stand that has the heart and the bass, and then I made, talking about having money, I made him an aluminum stool to use on stage. It was gold plated, it was gold chrome, for one show. That's all he ever used it for. But it was cool. Is that good?